I call the Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, that was a fine example, quite frankly, of a party that lacks vision, that lacks a direction and that lacks the sorts of opportunities and actually lacks a leader that actually needs to step up and step forward for New Zealand. But when it comes to vote employment, Mr Speaker, I mean, there's a lot of talk at the moment around employment opportunities for young people, employment opportunities for those that are struggling most, employment opportunities for those that actually are feeling the effects of a year after certainly the recession. And you would think, Mr Speaker, that actually the opposition would be holding the government to account, and we just heard a fine speech on how they wish to hold people to account and everything else. Can I say that at the estimates debate this year in Select Committee, the ex-minister and Annette King didn't even ask for vote employment to be heard at Select Committee. So the party that purports to speak for workers, the party that wanted to step up on employment, did not even ask the minister to present in front of vote employment. And I ask yourselves, how is that actually asking the questions? How is that actually identifying? Last year, Mr Speaker, they did actually ask vote employment, and so I did front up. But in the more than half an hour I was there was not one question on employment or unemployment. Yeah, not one question. So I suppose after that performance last year, they decided to simply wash their hands of it and not actually even ask questions around vote employment and what that means for people trying to find jobs. But then, in all fairness, Annette King's probably kind of busy at the moment. I mean, she's trying to rally in a party that's falling to bits. Right. She's trying to actually find some sort of meetings. She's not being bandied around as leader, though, which would be pretty hard for her to take, I'm sure. But let me just quote directly last week when the saga was all unfolding of Chris Carter, and I quote Annette King, who said, "I don't know, but as you know, I am a former Minister of Police, and let's say we are following some leads." Was that the handwriting on the letter, or the fact he was on camera? Or, I mean, Annette King is actually an ex-dental nurse. Was she checking dental records? Maybe she was out there seeing if he'd kissed the envelope and she could sort of trace it back through some sort of saliva sort of thing, because that's actually what that member was spending her time on last week. But as I say, she does say that as a former Minister of Police, she was following some leads on that. I mean, Annette King is stepping up and holding me to such account that she actually has withdrawn herself from the Social Services Select Committee. And let me put that in perspective. The most senior Labor member on that committee now is Dr. Rajeen Prasad. Yeah, so that is how much, actually. So she has actually withdrawn herself from the Select Committee that she is the opposition spokesperson on, the shadow minister as such, and she is not even on that Select Committee to be following it through. And that's how much she's actually stepping up and seeing it as being important. So no request on vote employment, actually, at the debates. No request on what's happening around employment or unemployment or jobs, or talk about what's going on there. But fortunately, Mr Speaker, this is a government that's stepping up and doing something about it. So let's talk about that. We've invested an extra $302 million responding to the recession. That comes through in the Restart, the Job Support Scheme, summer student jobs, the Community Response Fund, youth opportunities. We've seen, obviously, Job Ops was such a success that we saw those first 6,000 taken up so quickly. So in this budget that we've just had, we presented with another $26.7 million, doubling this to an extra 6,000 places, quite frankly. 6,000 extra places on Job Ops. And since then, we've announced another 1,500 places on the Community Max, identifying those more urban areas that actually need those sorts of programs. So Job Ops works well in those towns and cities where we have a number of employers who can step up and actually take the young people on. And quite frankly, the results from that has been outstanding. So of those that have completed their Job Ops, that have done the 6 months, 92% to date have not gone back on on benefits. 92% have not gone back on benefits, and that is kind of unbelievable. For Community Max, for those young people that have gone onto that program, we are seeing more than 70% not going back on benefits, and that is pretty outstanding. So earlier I was listening to the debate and I was hearing things about the comparison of New Zealand and Australia and where we are at that. So let's take the percentage of working age population receiving an unemployment-related benefit. In New Zealand, the percentage of working age population receiving an unemployment-related benefit, 2.1%. In Australia, 4.7%. So Australia, we have 4.7% of the working age population receiving an unemployment-related benefit. And that tells us that actually we are getting somewhere. Job Ops is making a difference. Community Max is making a difference. Quite frankly, the economic stimulus that we're seeing is making a difference. But it is time to look at some of that other balance and how and where we get it right. We have introduced in the summary of the budget, we have introduced $88 million around the future focus and around some of those welfare changes. You will see increases in abatement thresholds. This means that those on the DPB, those on the invalids benefit, can actually earn $20 a week more, Mr. Speaker, and before it actually affects their benefits, and that's going to make quite a big difference. It has not been raised for years and years and years, and it means that they can step up $53 million going towards that to increase those abatement thresholds for those that are actually. So that just goes into their pocket, and I think it's a good thing. The budget also introduced a new study loan for DPB sole parents of another $9 million and changes to OSCAR, recognising that they need help with some of that after-school and before-school care and how we can actually get that better organised, get rid of some of that red tape, step up and make sure that those sorts of opportunities are there for them. Mr. Speaker, it was the first time in Budget 2010 that we saw $15 million going directly into initiatives for teen parents. And it's something I'm kind of proud of. So not only are we there, though, supporting those teen mums who we know struggle at times, and it can be a bit of a hard road to hoe, having a wee one to think of while you're still relatively young yourself and trying to find your feet, but also parenting support for teen fathers. You know, it feels to me sometimes that we don't step up and acknowledge the role that they can play and how they can do it. And there are some good New Zealanders out there that want to back them and work alongside of them. So we're looking at the moment, we've got a group that we're pulling together that are looking at different initiatives on how we can actually work with those teen dads to help them. Supported houses for teen parents will make a difference. They absolutely will make a difference. $6.2 million going into that, and I hope this is one where I get to celebrate the successes of it and come back and continue to prod my cabinet so we can get a bit more. But these are actually wrapping those services around those young people and their children over a period of time, teaching them about what it means to actually budget and live in a house and cook food and buy food and actually raise a family at the same time, because as we all can acknowledge, those can be huge pressures on them, and it's something I'm really proud of. We've also done the community response model, where we've seen $90.5 million go into the community response model. That is taking it back to our local places. That is making it more regional. That's getting the funding at the grass level. It's making the current spend of $110 million through family and community services far more transparent, with local people on those forums, adding in another $90.5 million that is going to make a direct difference to their priorities. Yeah? So saying what happens for them locally, what makes a difference, what can we actually do. We will be doing GST, and we will be making sure that those are compensated. And in this we are actually seeing this will cost around $420 million, and something that I'm responsible for making sure that that is rolled out on the 1st of October. So those supers who are feeling at times the effects and are a little bit concerned about that, I give them my guarantee that they will see the compensation that will come through for them for that changes in the GST, They will also see the changes because of the real wage that is changing and the percentage in there. So payments will increase by over 2% for those receiving super, veterans, unemployment, sickness, invalids, DPB, disability allowances, child disability allowances, so making sure that some of those allowances around it are equally recognised for the changes they need. Mr Speaker, this is a great budget. This is one that delivers to the people. It recognises the priorities of this country and where that money needs to be, and I am very, very proud to be standing up for those that need our help most. Thank you.